I'm 88 years old, and most mornings I wake up to a quiet that feels heavier than it used to. It isn't the peaceful kind of quiet people talk about. It's the kind that presses on your chest for a moment before you remember where you are and who is no longer here. I used to think loneliness arrived suddenly, like a door slamming shut. I know now it doesn't. It arrives the way dust does, slowly. So slowly you don't notice it until everything feels covered in it. I'm telling this because there isn't much time left for me to pretend I understand my life without saying the truth out loud. I don't need forgiveness or applause. I don't even need agreement. I'm saying this because someone listening might still have time, and I don't. Most days now look the same. I sit at the small kitchen table by the window. The table used to feel too small when the children were young, and now it feels too big. I make tea I sometimes forget to drink. I watch the light move across the floor. I listen for sounds that don't come. I have people in my life, technically. Names I could list. A daughter who calls on Sundays. A neighbor who checks in when she hasn't seen my curtains open. But the truth is, I am alone in a way I don't think can be fixed anymore. It took me most of my life to understand why. When I was younger, I would have told you I was fine, busy, responsible, needed. Those words mattered to me. I wore them like proof that I was doing something right. I grew up believing love was something you earned by being useful. My mother was tired all the time. My father was distant, not unkind, just somewhere else even when he was in the room. No one ever sat me down and explained how to be close to people. We learned how to manage, how to behave, how to not make trouble. So I became very good at not making trouble. In my 20s, I married a man who seemed steady. He had a job. He paid his bills. He didn't drink too much. That felt like enough. I don't say that with bitterness. At the time, it truly was enough. Love wasn't fireworks. It was safety. Or so I thought. We had 2 children. I stayed home when they were small. Then I went back to work once they were in school. I told myself I was doing everything right. I was tired, but so was everyone else. That's what adulthood looked like. What I didn't see was how often I chose tasks over people. How often I chose being dependable over being present. If someone needed me, I showed up. If someone wanted me to sit and talk without a reason, I found an excuse. I didn't know how to just be with someone. It felt indulgent, wasteful. My husband would try sometimes. He'd sit at the kitchen table after dinner and talk about his day. I'd keep washing dishes. I'd answer, but my back would be turned. I thought listening meant responding with words. I didn't realize how much listening also meant stopping. The children learned early not to interrupt. I was proud of that. They were good kids, quiet, independent. I didn't understand that independence, when taught too early, feels a lot like distance. Years went by without anything dramatic happening. No big fights, no betrayals, just days stacked on top of each other. Work, meals, laundry, sleep. That's how the cost begins. Not with pain, but with comfort. I missed school plays because meetings ran late. I forgot birthdays and made up for it with gifts. I told myself there would be more time when things slowed down. They never really did. My friends from work would invite me out sometimes. Coffee. Lunch I usually declined. I told myself I was tired, that I'd go next time. They stopped asking. I noticed, but I didn't chase them. I didn't want to seem needy. Neediness scared me. I thought it pushed people away. By my 40s, I was respected. At work, people came to me with problems. At home, everyone assumed I had things under control. That felt good. It felt solid. But respect is not closeness. I didn't know that yet. My marriage slowly changed into something quiet and polite. We discussed schedules, bills, repairs. We stopped talking about ourselves. I don't remember deciding that. It just happened. I assumed that was normal. That long marriages became quiet by default. I told myself that the absence of conflict meant success. Then my husband got sick. Not suddenly. Slowly, like everything else. Doctor visits, new medications, long afternoons in waiting rooms. I took care of him the way I took care of everything else. Efficiently, reliably. I don't think I ever said, "I'm scared." When he died, people told me I was strong. I accepted that compliment because I didn't know what else to do with it. Strength had become my identity. What they didn't see was that I didn't know how to be held anymore. I didn't know how to let someone sit with me in the mess of it. I didn't know how to ask. After the funeral, the house felt wrong. Too quiet, but also too full. His chair, his shoes, his side of the bed. I thought grief would be loud. I thought it would demand attention. Instead, it just made the silence heavier. My children had their own lives by then. I didn't want to burden them. I told them I was okay. I meant it in the way people mean it when they don't want to explain themselves. Weeks passed. Then months. I went back to work sooner than I needed to. I told myself routine would help. What it really did was delay the moment I had to sit still. Loneliness doesn't feel like being alone in a room. It feels like having no place to put your feelings, no safe surface to set them down. I didn't have that place anymore. As I aged, people expected less of me. That should have been freeing. Instead, it felt like erasure. Calls slowed. Invitations stopped. I hadn't noticed how much of my social life depended on usefulness until usefulness was gone. Retirement made it worse. Suddenly, I was no longer necessary anywhere. I had spent my life being needed, not being known. That difference matters. I tried joining groups, book clubs, church committees. I sat in rooms with people and smiled and nodded. I listened more than I spoke. I was polite. I was forgettable. Connection doesn't grow from politeness alone. I learned that too late. One afternoon, years after my husband's death, I realized I couldn't remember the last time someone asked me how I was and waited for the real answer. Not out of duty, out of interest. That realization didn't break me. It settled into me. I began to see my life differently, not as a series of mistakes, but as a pattern I had never questioned. I had believed love was something you demonstrated by showing up, by fixing, by managing. I didn't understand that love also needs softness, presence, vulnerability. I thought keeping things together kept people close. It did the opposite. There was a moment, not dramatic, when this finally became clear. I was in the hospital for a minor surgery. Nothing serious. I stayed overnight. The nurse was kind. She asked me questions, real ones, about my life. I answered carefully at first, then more openly. When she left the room, I felt something I hadn't felt in years, a sense of being seen. It frightened me how much that small interaction mattered. I realized then how long it had been since I had let myself be known. Not admired, not respected, known. That night, I cried quietly so no one would hear. Not because I was sad in that moment, but because I finally understood something irreversible. The loneliness I felt at 88 didn't come from old age. It came from a lifetime of emotional distance I had mistaken for maturity. I had taught people how to treat me. I had taught them I didn't need much, that I was fine, that I could handle things on my own, and they believed me. There are things now that cannot be fixed. Conversations that will never happen. Apologies that would only serve me, not them. Time that is simply gone. I don't say that with drama, just honesty. I love my children. I always did. But love without presence leaves gaps. Those gaps don't close on their own. I see now how often I postponed connection, how often I told myself I'd call tomorrow, how many laters I used up. Loneliness is not a punishment, it's a result. If you're listening to this and you still have people in your life, I won't tell you what to do. I don't believe in instructions at this age, but I will tell you what I wish I had understood. Being needed is not the same as being loved. Being strong is not the same as being close. And being busy is often a way of avoiding the risk of intimacy. I thought I was protecting myself. I was building walls instead. Now my days are quiet, not always sad, sometimes peaceful, sometimes tender. I have memories I hold gently. I have gratitude. I also have regret. They live together. I don't expect my loneliness to disappear. I've made peace with that, but I want its cause to be known, because it didn't come from a lack of people. It came from a lack of letting people in. If this meant something to you, if it stirred something uncomfortable or familiar, sit with it. You don't need to fix anything today. Just notice. I'm 88 years old. I finally understand why I was always lonely. I just wish I had understood it sooner.